Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Willow accuses Michael of killing Drew. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow Tate is more motivated than ever to see Drew Kane go. Willow is more motivated to want Drew out of her life permanently now that she is aware that he prevented her from seeing Michael Corinthos in Germany. The latest information keeps trickling out. Willow now knows that Drew hurt Wiley Corinthos, that he had an affair with Nina Reeves, and that Drew had kept Willow away from Michael in Germany. Furthermore, Willow may devise the final scheme to remove Drew out of her way and regain custody of her children if Michael keeps denying her access to them. More than anything, Willow Tate wants her kids back. Willow blames Drew for separating her from her kids and doesn't understand why Michael won't let her see them now that Drew isn't involved. Since Willow is now not in her greatest mental state, she may feel that the best approach to fix her difficulties is to accomplish two goals at once. Willow will become desperate to ensure that happens. Willow would think she would immediately regain her children if she could get Drew and Michael out of the way. Willow Tate kills Drew Kane. Willow might consent to see Drew in order to talk about their future. Although he is not surprising, she is aware that Drew would stop at nothing to win her back. Willow would carry a gun when she visited Drew at his house. She would first give Drew the impression that she is forgiving of him. However, when Willow draws a gun, Drew is taken aback. Willow is urged by Drew not to shoot. Willow would accuse him of causing her to lose everything she holds dear, particularly her kids. Willow doesn't want to hear her apologize, even though Drew would say he's sorry. After being shot multiple times by Willow, Drew falls to the ground. Willow Tate frames Michael Corinthos when Drew Kane dies and lies in a pool of blood, but Willow refuses to be held accountable for the crime. Willow would make sure that Michael paid the price so that she could regain custody of her children. Michael is staying at Carly's place, where she would plant the gun. But in order to accuse him, she would make sure to conceal it in his bedroom. Willow might somehow sow the seed that Dante Falconeri would discover the gun that killed Drew and be compelled to take Michael into custody. Michael is currently awaiting a jury trial after being falsely accused of Drew's murder. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you believe Willow would stop at nothing to regain her children now that she is still unable to see them? Will Willow kill Drew? Is she going to set Michael up for the crime? General Hospital spoilers, the implications of Jason's heartfelt 6-word disclosure to Britt for their future. According to General Hospital spoilers and updates, when Jason Morgan finally finds Britt Westbourne, he is probably going to say 6 powerful things to her. Here are some things GH fans can expect from the next poignant confession and reunion. Jason has been thinking back on his brief relationship with Britt, which many fans believe was much too brief, even though it was evident that Britt still loved him when he allegedly passed away. Despite the fact that Britt and Jason were never given the chance to fully explore their potential together, that might soon alter in the months to come. She is aware that he survived, so now that Jason is committed to demonstrating Britt's survival, it will only be a matter of time until they meet in person. Even though Britt was unaware that he was watching her board the trip to Dubrovnik, Jason saw her at the Paris airport and became even more determined to track her down. Jason should give Britt a chance to speak to him when he sees her again, since hearing her argue with Pascal on the phone would only strengthen his resolve. Britt is going to be shocked since she has been following the news in Port Charles and knows that Jason has come back and that he did not marry Carly Spencer after all, and that Sonny Corinthos is still alive. But when Jason discovers her and begins questioning her about her fake death and the reasons behind her avoidance of the people in Port Charles who truly care about her, Britt may be taken aback. Actually, Jason might be getting ready for an emotional disclosure that will speak to Britt and open the door to their new path together. The 6 powerful things that Jason might say to Britt are as follows: I never stopped caring about you. Jason hurt Britt when he married Carly, but he found himself in a tough spot when attempting to control the mob chaos while Sonny was believed to be dead. Jason and Carly became closer, but he never stopped loving Britt. Jason's love for Carly grew throughout that time, but that doesn't mean he forgot about Britt and their relationship. When Jason solves the most recent mystery surrounding Britt, their special bond may grow even stronger. Naturally, Britt will have a lot to explain, and since Jason has also been in a difficult circumstance, she may also need him to clarify some things. Keep checking back for updates on Jason and Britt's upcoming plans as they get ready for what may become an incredible second chance romance. according to General Hospital teasers, Britt and Jason will cross paths again in a plot that is sure to have many unexpected surprises. August 4th to 8th, General Hospital moments to watch. Watch out for these significant events of the week. Both at the Five Poppies and in Port Charles, things are getting hotter. Here are 3 key events to keep an eye on General Hospital this week. Jason and Anna work together this week. Jason will rely heavily on Anna to help him find Britt. The police commissioner will pull some strings later this week after meeting Liesl on Monday, and by Friday, she will share her thoughts with Jason. She didn't challenge Jason's belief that Britt is still alive, and he will be the first to know if she receives any information from Liesl. Ava's proposal. Ava will make a proposal at the beginning of the week. We're fine as long as Rick isn't proposing to Ava, even though it's unclear if this is a proposal for Alexis or Rick. But on Thursday, Ava is going to try Rick. Unaware that Cody is pursuing her purely for Christina's sake, she has been annoyed by his unwavering intimacy with Elizabeth. Why are Dante and Lulu furious? It's stated that Lulu and Dante are furious at the conclusion of the week, but why? According to spoilers, Danny will give Rocco advice earlier this week. Will Rocco get back to Liesl? Or worst, look for his own surrogate mother? Nothing will stop him from going to find Britt if he gets a hint from Jason that she is still alive. Willow stood at the edge of the chapel aisle, her heart thumping more loudly than the church bells above, the tension crackling around her like static. Drew stood tall in his tuxedo at the altar, exuding the kind of confidence that only a man unaware of his misdeeds could, while every pew was crowded and every flower arrangement was immaculate. He offered her a sincere smile from the altar. Nothing was revealed by the calm in his gaze. However, she was aware. Willow had finally discovered the whole truth, all the unvarnished and unhygienic details, about Drew and her mother, Nina, just seconds before she entered the chapel. Behind her back, the 2 individuals who had been teaching her forgiveness and trust for months had been having an affair. It was a months-long affair hidden behind well-practiced falsehoods and phony grins, not just a brief moment of weakness. She had yet to confront him. She hadn't wept or screamed. With the entire weight of that secret pushing on her ribs like shattered glass, she had just turned, walked out of the bridal suite wearing her white silk gown, and entered the chapel. It seemed as if her spirit had broken apart from her body with each stride she took down the aisle. Time slowed, the visitors stood, and the music grew louder. She could see Michael, her ex-husband, holding his daughter next to Wiley, Olivia wiping away a tear of joy, and Monica looking with timid optimism. He even appeared encouraging, as if this marriage were a sign of recovery. Willow, however, saw this as a death sentence. And she was the one being buried. She stopped at about the 4th step. Her gaze remained fixed on Drew. He still had an easy, expectant face. It wasn't until the bouquet slipped a little in her hand that she became aware that she was shaking. Her throat constricted, and she could hardly hear the words when the officiant started talking. The phrase, "Speak now or forever hold your peace," was followed by a tremendous stillness. Then she started talking. At first, Willow stated quietly, "I can't marry him." Then it gets louder. "I refuse to wed him." The congregation erupted in gasps. Suddenly the music ceased. Everyone turned to look at her. Drew furrowed his brows in perplexity. "Willow?" His voice wavered between incredulity and fear as he inquired. With a cracking voice, she said, "You slept with my mother." The silence gave way to whispers as they said, "You and Nina, while we were planning this wedding." Nina, who was seated in the first row, became pale. Willow went on, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, "I trusted you. I had faith in you both." Drew attempted to approach, but she stopped him with a hand gesture. "And you've been lying to me, pretending that you cared, pretending that you wanted a future with me while you were sneaking around with the one person who has caused more damage in my life than anyone else." "Don't." "I can explain, Willow," he continued in a raspy voice. "Don't make fun of me," she muttered. "Not right now." Then she turned and left, by herself. Her gown's train trailed like the ashes of a recently extinguished fairy tale. The fallout happened quickly. She wasn't pursued by Drew. Carly gazed into Nina's eyes as she sat motionless in her chair. Michael appeared surprised, and Wiley could tell something wasn't quite right. By evening, the whole town was humming with the aftermath. Willow didn't return home to anyone, including the Quartermaines. Since so many of her memories were now tarnished, she couldn't bear to go back to the mansion. Given the complex web of emotions they had all been caught in, she knew Carly wouldn't exactly throw a party either. Furthermore, she had no intention of sharing a room with Nina Reeves. She wandered for several hours. Suddenly, Port Charles felt alien. She was reminded of someone who had disappointed her on every walkway. Every crossroads has a story to tell. She once happened to be close to Isaiah Gannon's former cottage. It was half-abandoned, dark, and desolate. She considered staying, but the place felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by the silence she wasn't prepared to deal with. She arrived at Elizabeth Baldwin's house in the morning. Elizabeth made no hesitation. "Are you safe?" was the only question she asked as she opened her arms and drew Willow inside. Willow nodded, too exhausted to say anything. Elizabeth's house suddenly became a haven for her. Without hesitation, Elizabeth's boys made room. Willow managed to grin and respond, "Not anymore," to Violet's question about if she was a princess. The young girl then put her arms around Willow. The house was safe and quiet that night. For the first time in days, Willow slept soundly, free from the whispering of lies in her ear. Port Charles struggled with the aftermath in the days that followed. In an attempt to minimize the harm, Drew made appearances in local press interviews as though he could spin his way out of the situation. He asserted accountability, openness, and honesty. However, nobody overlooked the pain caused by Willow's disappearance or the highly visible betrayal. In the meantime, Nina was shunned once more. In full view of Metro Court, Carly let loose on her. Willow was surrounded by Michael, who forbade Nina from being near their kids. Even Sonny, who had become tired of Nina's tactics, avoided her. Alexis Davis's discreet approach to her daughter was the biggest surprise. Just to listen, not to correct anything. Willow wasn't sure if she could trust another mother figure, but Alexis's gentle demeanor seemed to help. She was reminded that not all mothers ruin the things they cherish. Willow and Elizabeth sat on the back porch one evening after supper. The night breeze was chilly, and the stars were beautiful. Willow remarked, "I always felt I was too quiet to make waves. Too soft. Too simple to shatter. However, I didn't feel weak in that chapel." Elizabeth nodded. "You weren't. I just don't know where I go from here." "You build something new," Elizabeth responded. "You were the strongest person in that room. Something truthful. Something that belongs to you." And Willow started doing just that. She took her time. She was not forgiving. She remembered. However, she began going to treatment. She joined a grief support group to deal with the loss of herself as well as the loss of loved ones. She found satisfaction in the lives she could improve and continued to assist at the hospital by mentoring new nurses. She protected her heart, but she didn't shut it down. She gradually started to recover the aspects of herself that had been eroded by others, day by day. Willow was now stronger, wiser, and no longer a pawn in the drama that still swirled around Port Charles. She wasn't the white-clad woman heading for a false impression. It was she who had turned around, discovered her voice, and at last discovered how to make her own decisions. Kelly Monaco, a former cast member of General Hospital, cancels her podcast because of personal matters. According to General Hospital spoilers, Kelly Monaco, who portrayed Sam McCall until the character's death in October of last year, has cancelled her candid podcast with Shauna Moakler. Kelly and Moakler, a fellow Dancing with the Stars alumnus and Playboy Playmate of the Month, were to collaborate on a podcast called Bad Bunnies. It was announced months ago. Kelly Monaco's supporters were disappointed once more when they learned that the podcast had been cancelled, just when they were beginning to hear Kelly's side of the story of her departure from General Hospital. Given that Kelly had promised to give her side of the story following her abrupt departure from the ABC serial opera, fans are extremely unhappy. When Kelly was let go from the show and Sam was killed off, she had worked for ABC for more than 20 years. Fans were so incensed that they pushed for Sam to be raised from the grave and Kelly to be rehired. In the end, Cyrus Renaud killed Sam while on his vengeance tour. Unsurprisingly, he also killed Dex Heller. The Bad Bunnies lost their trail. The podcast appears to have had a rough start right before it was scheduled to start. Actually, it appears that the bunnies would have lost out if they had been competing with the tortoise. Because of Monaco's personal issues, these bunnies simply didn't make it out of the gate. Moker clarified that Kelly would not be featured on the podcast since she was dealing with personal issues. Instead, Moker plans to proceed with her own podcast featuring Claudia Johnson. Fans still want answers. It has been over a year after it was leaked that Monaco had been fired from the soap opera after more than 20 years, but this does not include hearing from Monaco or The Promised. Nothing is off limits. Monaco vowed to share the incident with her fans and accused her of retaliating by terminating her. Fans are still waiting for an answer that doesn't appear to be any closer to being revealed than they were at the time of the firing. By now, fans had expected Monaco to be cast in another soap opera, but that hasn't occurred. Has much of the speculation about reprisal caused Monaco to have trouble finding a new position, or is she simply being picky about what she does next? Will viewers of GH ever learn the whole tale behind Monaco's termination? Will fans be left to discover the truth on their own? 3 of General Hospital's worst Sonny Corinthos moments. On General Hospital, we have gotten a close-up look at the life of gangster Sonny Corinthos for more than 3 decades. Tragedies such as the passing of his son Morgan and the ups and downs of multiple marriages have been witnessed by us. We have seen him engage in combat with adversaries such as Jens Sidwell, Manny Ruiz, and Lorenzo Alcazar. Additionally, we've seen him lose his anger more times than we can count. Here are 3 especially gruesome and tense Sonny scenes that captured the attention of viewers and held it till the very end. Sonny strangles Edward Quartermain in General Hospital. The most unsettling aspect of this episode is that Sonny physically attacked an elderly man. In a sense, however, we might say that Edward caused it. He barged into Sonny's house without permission and enraged Sonny by reciting a litany of his transgressions. Sonny took off his necktie and wrapped it around Edward's neck, choking him for a minute before releasing him as he turned to speak with Rick. Sonny tears Claudia to pieces at her birthday party. Sonny learned that his wife Claudia Zacra attempted to kill him, but his son Michael was accidentally shot, putting him in a coma. A shocked Edward staggered out the front door, panting that Sonny should be taken out and shot like the rabid animal that he is. At her birthday party, in front of many people who were unaware of his plans, a vengeful Sonny revealed her wrongdoing. By the time he finished verbally raking Claudia over the coals, the visitors had turned into unintentional observers who were appalled. Christina and Michael, 2 of Sonny's young children, were there. When it was all over, Christina was crying and they were both heartbroken to see their father so furious. Michael implores Sonny not to kill AJ. Sure, the scene in which Sonny kills AJ is gory, but so is the one in which he nearly kills him. The initials AJ were inscribed in Connie's blood when Sonny discovered her dead in her office. With a revolver in hand, he hurried to the Quartermain estate and harassed AJ into confessing to the crime. Michael begged Sonny not to kill AJ when he and Dante arrived, claiming that the murder would destroy him and his siblings. He reminded Sonny that Michael would cut him out of his life if Sonny killed AJ, who was also his father. After giving in and letting AJ go, Sonny discovered that AJ was actually the murderer, Ava Jerome. Willow collapses in Carly's house, bringing Jason one step closer to finding Britt. Liesl was enjoying her triple schnapps in the wedding reception area while joyously making fun of Drew for being questioned about having an affair with Nina. Jason told her bluntly that he believed he had seen Britt. Liesl claimed to see Britta constantly going into her second triple schnapps, but this did not imply that she was seeing her. Jason attempted to clarify that he believed he had seen her in person, but Liesl believed it was simply his subconscious searching for her as well. Jason then inquired as to whether Liesl had buried Britt somewhere else. Rather than responding, she thought about how Jason helped Britta become more confident, comfortable, content, and trusting. In the end, she expressed her belief that Britta could have been content with him if he hadn't left her for Carly. He expressed his deepest apologies for causing Britt any pain, but Liesl claimed that since he saved her life and almost died doing so, there were no resentments. She had a flashback of clutching Britta as the poison hook cut her to death. Liesl stated she liked remembering Britt and invited Jason to talk about her at any moment. Jason didn't want to offend her by saying they didn't have to talk about her anymore. Liesl expressed her amazement at Britta's decision to have her remains cremated rather than donated to Huntington's disease research before he offered to take her to her room. Jason dropped Liesl off at her room and went back to the front desk to retrieve her bag. In the past, he remembered seeing Britt at the airport. He looked up Dubrovnik hotel flowers on his phone after recalling seeing flowers on her suitcase. The top result of the search was Dalmatia's Five Poppies Resort. Britt went into her room at the Five Poppies Resort in Dubrovnik. She started going through the files in Dalton's rucksack after she had settled in. She muttered, "What is he even paying him for?" and appeared dissatisfied with the contents. Later, Tomas knocked on the door as Britt was reading about Tracy's arrest at the nurses' ball to catch up on Port Charles news. Britt's enigmatic boss sent Tomas a masseuse because she believed that she needed a way to decompress. Tomas later appeared to offer Britt something extra to help her feel even better as she was enjoying the massage. She became irritated and told him to leave after telling him not to come tonight. Britt injected an unidentified drug into her stomach as she was preparing to go to bed. "Good night, Mutter," she said longingly as she lay down and closed her eyes to go to sleep. A distressed Willow appeared at the door of Carly's residence, pleading to see her kids. Willow shouted for Wiley and informed him that his mother was present when she heard him. Carly cautioned her that she would frighten Wiley in her current state and pulled her away from passing the foyer. Willow was shouting for Wiley once again when Michael approached. Willow frantically assured Michael that everything was good since she had complied with his wishes by not getting married to Drew and that he now had to allow her to see her children. He stated Wiley shouldn't see her like that and that her hysteria was the issue at the moment. Michael hurried Willow out the door, and Carly went to meet Wiley as he came down the stairs. Willow sobbed as she pleaded to see the children, but Michael informed her that she had to go home and clean herself up because he had to keep the children safe from witnessing her out of control. She claimed that he got what he wanted because she was mistaken about Drew and he was correct, and that everything changed once she and Drew were done. To make matters worse, she frantically added, "And, if that's not enough, I'll come back to you." Michael told her that although he would have loved to hear her speak those things at one point, it was too late and she couldn't simply snap her fingers and undo everything. "The four of us can be a family again." She became more agitated and declared that she would comply with his wishes. She couldn't bear the idea of him having full custody and her not being able to visit him, he said, but there was nothing else to do but obey the verdict Judge Heron had laid out for them. When she refused to go, he finally threatened to have her removed from the property. Willow sobbed as she watched Michael and Carly console Wiley as he entered the house and collapsed in front of the window. In front of Carly's door, Elizabeth and Rick discovered a startled Willow sitting and rocking. Elizabeth warned Willow it wouldn't be a good idea to speak with Michael. Elizabeth advised her to consider how seeing her sad would frighten Wiley and Amelia at this moment. Elizabeth tried to reassure her by offering to take Willow home so she could sleep and, if Willow thought it was appropriate, to bring her back to Carly's in the morning. Willow, who had now realized she had nowhere to go, was lifted to her feet by Elizabeth with Rick's assistance. Wiley was comforted by Michael and Carly, who sat with him inside and explained that his mother was disappointed that she didn't marry Uncle Drew. They reaffirmed to him their affection for him and that of his mother as they consoled him. Michael put Wiley to bed and then told Carly that Willow had decided not to forward with the wedding after learning that Drew and Nina had shared a bed. Carly was disappointed that Nina was unable to stop a large portion of the harm. When she inquired about Michael's whereabouts, he said that he planned to strictly adhere to the judge's decision in order to avoid doing anything that would compromise his custody. Willow's desperation unsettled and alarmed him, and he questioned whether he would ever be able to allow her to be around the children again. Elizabeth took Willow back to her home with Rick. Willow sat on the sofa, baffled by Michael's refusal to allow her see Wiley. After a while, Elizabeth gave Willow a sleeping aid, assured her that she was secure there, and allowed her to remain there for as long as necessary until she worked everything out. Willow claimed to have already worked everything out because she should be allowed to visit her kids once more now that she and Michael were on the same page. Nina had requested to meet at the Metro Court pool with Portia and Curtis. Willow told them they deserved to know that Willow and Drew were no longer together, but she was unaware that Curtis was the one who had revealed the truth. She told them, in tears, that she and Willow were done together and that she felt as like she had lost her daughter forever. Curtis acknowledged that he was the one who informed Willow the truth, and they sat down so Nina could tell them everything. He apologized for hurting Portia in the process and stated that it was his last-ditch attempt to preserve her medical career. Nina acknowledged that Curtis was correct and that he made Willow face reality. Although she wasn't sure if she and Willow would ever get back together, she believed that the destruction would be worthwhile if Willow was no longer with Drew. Nina kept thinking about Willow's destruction and claimed to have the one piece of knowledge that would have made Willow reject Drew, but she allowed her ego and fear of losing her daughter to prevent her from acting appropriately. In an attempt to reassure Nina, Portia said Willow might yet change her mind. However, Curtis was worried that Willow could give Drew another chance as well. He claimed that, at the very least, Drew's ego was too large to let Willow go without a struggle. Drew sees himself as Willow's champion, and he uses her to justify his actions, he continued. Drew will have to confront the person he has become without Willow. Drew drugged Martin to the Quartermaines. Drew was determined to find Willow, so he scaled the wall to enter the property. Inside, Tracy was looking for the mole Molly had warned Cody about on his anxious back, but she only discovered a freckle. Unannounced, Drew and Martin rushed in the door. Tracy said, "What, you misplaced your bride already?" in response to Drew's question about Willow's whereabouts. "How incredibly irresponsible of you." Drew is humorously tag-teamed by Tracy and Cody, who make fun of him for being abandoned at the altar. Yuri entered and expressed regret for not being able to stop Martin and Drew from scaling the wall. Drew didn't think Willow wasn't present. Tracy took pride in the fact that Drew's behavior had finally come back to haunt him, while Drew insisted that Nina was to blame for telling her about his feelings for Willow. Drew persisted in saying that he was sick of being judged all the time and that all he wanted was to make Willow happy. If he had only been given the opportunity to explain, he believed he could still make Willow happy, but Cody advised him to leave the poor woman alone. Drew rushed upstairs to look for Willow, still thinking she was there. But she was obviously not. Martin asked Yuri questions in the living room in an attempt to learn more about Monica's condition and any guests she could have had. Dr. Monica was a wonderful woman who was adored by many, Yuri informed Martin. Martin was taken aback when Yuri claimed that he and Monica clicked because of their commonalities. Martin questioned Monica about her past prior to the Quartermaines, saying, "We both come far from our meager beginnings." However, Tracy interrupted him by requesting Yuri's help in ejecting Martin and Drew. Outside, Drew informed Martin that he was Willow's last remaining companion and that he needed to win her back. Molly showed over at Alexis' house when Alexis and Christina were talking about Drew and Nina's affair and the botched wedding. Still agitated, Molly assured Christina that she was correct, saying, "Cody Bell is every bit the hustler you said he was." She continued by describing her encounter with him at the pool and how she felt she would no longer be seduced by Cody's attractions because of Christina. Alexis asked Molly what she had said about Cody after she had gone upstairs. In defense of herself, Christina claimed that although she mostly told the truth about Cody, she couldn't help but feel horrible about it. Alexis voiced her concerns about Molly being impacted by the seduction strategy as they discussed it more. However, she revealed that Ava had wanted to meet with her alone at the wedding after noticing that Rick was fixated with Elizabeth. Alexis disliked deterring Molly from the one man she had been interested in since TJ, and Christina struggled to overcome the guilt of perhaps hurting or disappointing Molly. However, Christina asserted that Molly will eventually move past Cody and that she deserved far better. Molly sat at her desk upstairs, studying her third book's character notes. The hero's description aligned with Cody's traits. Still dissatisfied, she wrote dumb sidekick in place of hero. Her new adjectives for the hero in her book mirrored TJ's traits when she started writing them. Comings and goings in soap operas, actresses return, change roles, and transition. Key takeaways: Days of Our Lives, Al Calderon is leaving the program, but it will continue to air until 2026. Alison Sweeney and Leanne Hunley return this week. Returning as Jill Abbott on The Young and the Restless is Jess Walton. As Chance Chancellor and Carter, respectively, Connor Floyd and Vincent Stalba have resigned. Elizabeth Hendrickson directs for the first time. Beyond the Gates, Bryton James is interacting with Tamara Tooney and Clifton Davis after leaving The Young and the Restless as Devin Winters. The Bold and the Beautiful, Cassandra Creech and Ashley Jones return, and Jack Wagner reprises his role as Nick Marone. Dr. Liesl Albrecht, played by Kathleen Gotti, is returning to General Hospital. Child actors Finn Carr and Asher Antonizin return, and Mark Forget plays Pascal. The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, The Young and the Restless, and Beyond the Gates are the 5 daytime dramas that have the most recent casting announcements. Casting for August 4, 2025. Find out if any of your favorite actors and actresses from the past are coming back to the shows you watch, if any new actors and actresses have been cast in day player, contract, or recurring parts, or if any well-liked performers are set to leave. The drama surrounding Britt Westbourne's return from the grave on General Hospital has a new participant. Britt has been staying at the Five Poppies Dalmatia Hotel in Croatia, where Mark Forget plays Pascal, the concierge. The actor made his screen debut last week in the movie Ford vs. Ferrari. He also appeared as a guest on Ray Donovan and NCIS. Returning as Britt's mother, Dr. Liesel Albrecht, is Kathleen Gotti. On Monday, August 4th, she meets Anna from Finola Hughes. Asher Antonison and Finn Carr return as Danny Morgan and Rocco Falconeri, respectively. On Wednesday, August 6th, watch for Danny to give his brother some advice. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.